Hello and welcome. Today we're looking at some handy machine applique techniques. The thread I'm using is Gutermann thread and it's now available from Craft Lovers Mega Store. While fusible webbing applique is usually associated with hand stitching, it can be machine stitched as well. And you can do all sorts of different machine stitches depending on the finish you want. Check your sewing machine manual for a blind stitch, which is simply 4 to 5 stitches followed by a zigzag stitch, and it's almost invisible if you use monofilament thread. The stitch width should be just wide enough to catch the applique shape and short enough to leave about 1/8 of an inch between the zig and the zag of the zigzags. Sew with the needle stitching on the background right beside the applique and the zigzag grabbing it. The zigzag should catch the shape every time, the straight stitch must not. Secure each corner with a zigzag. If you're coming up to a corner and think the zigzag won't be right at the point, then adjust the needle of the fabric slightly to ensure the stitch goes in where you want it to. Blanket stitch applique works well if you're after a visible stitch. Smaller stitches prevent fraying on the fused edges and are easier when stitching around small or complex shapes. Bigger pieces look better with longer, wider stitches. Sew the blanket stitch with the straight stitch next to the edge of the piece and the side stitch sewing into the shape. For secure corners, the side stitch will fall at an angle. Satin stitch is the most durable method of applique, and the heavy thread work outlines simple shapes but isn't well suited to complex small pieces. To use satin stitch on your applique pieces, sew along the edge of the shape, covering the raw edge and extending into the background fabric by a thread or two. Finally, zigzag applique stitch is very versatile. If you use a short stitch, the stitches will be concealed and a long wide zigzag will emphasise them. The needle should pierce the background fabric but hug the edge of the applique shape so the thread lies on the patch. Sew slowly to the corners, holding back the fabric with your hands to position the needle as you would for satin stitches. Pivot for inside and outside curves as shown. The Gutermann cotton thread I've used is available now from Craft Lovers Mega Store, and it comes in a pack of 20 100 metre reels. So visit the Mega Store today for these and other great craft products, including templates and batting.